is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
In today's headlines in the Philippines, the Marcos administration is facing intense outrage and condemnation from the people following the move by authorities to serve a warrant of arrest. Weaponizing battalions of heavily armed authorities, they besieged multiple compounds of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, home to more than 1,000 missionaries in Davao City, Samal Island, and Sarangani. Clad with full battle gear, they descended upon the compounds with the air of intimidation, leaving the missionary workers, including children, alarmed and terrified. And former President Rodrigo Duterte, who is also the administrator of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ properties, condemned what he called the excessive and unnecessary use of force in serving arrest warrants. I'm Frederico Velloso, Newsline World starts now. Following the simultaneous raid by armed police on various Kingdom of Jesus Christ compounds in Davao City and Sarangani province, former President Rodrigo Duterte, who is also the administrator of KOGC properties, condemned what he called the excessive and unnecessary use of force, or the use of excessive and unnecessary force in serving the arrest warrant for Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy. In his official statement on June 10, he said that this is unacceptable, especially since the incident occurred inside a place of worship and a school. The former president questioned the current administration's use of power. Duterte called the incident overkill and asked if this would be the mark of the administration. How can the Marcos administration ensure the preservation of our fellow Filipinos' rights when even the most fundamental rights of Filipinos are trampled upon and blatantly violated? Meanwhile, the Partido Demokratiko Pilipino or PDP Blaban fully supports the former president's statement. In their statement on Tuesday, the party emphasized the troubling response of the administration to justice and the protection of rights. Many, they said, can relate to the former president's question: how can this administration guarantee the protection of our fundamental rights when such blatant abuses are taking place? Furthermore, according to the PDP, for justice to be carried out impartially and honestly, leaders and government officials must be held accountable for law enforcement. Our rights must be defended at all times, and any action contrary to this must be addressed immediately. Hakban na Maisug USA, led by its president, Attorney Arnedo Valera, an international human rights lawyer, also issued a condemnation of the police battalion's raid. Valera said this incident may be an example of blatant violation of the Constitution, particularly the Bill of Rights and the principle of proportionality. This means that the force sent to KOGC was excessive, especially since only Pastor Apollo and 5 others were to be served arrest warrants. It should be noted that aside from the armed police battalion, several choppers also hovered over the compound. At Glory Mountain in Tamayo, the police also destroyed the gate and hurt some missionaries. For now, Pastor Apollo has not been seen. In his latest message to the public, the good pastor declared that his life is in danger and he is being targeted for assassination, which is why he's not appearing in public and is protecting himself. Following the raid by heavily armed authorities on the Kingdom of Jesus Christ compounds in Davao City, Vice President Sara Duterte has urged for more humane approach to law enforcement, emphasizing the need to protect citizens' rights and avoid unnecessary trauma. Let's hear more details from Jade Calabroso.
Vice President Sara Duterte has joined the voices condemning the heavily armed police raids on various compounds of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ in Davao City and Sarangani province. In her official statement on Tuesday, Vice President Duterte called for the proper, acceptable, and humane enforcement of the law and the promotion of justice in our country. She expressed concern over the unruly execution of the arrest warrant for Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy, citing the questionable use of excessive force and authority in front of civilians. She emphasized the importance of ensuring the safety of everyone, especially civilians and youth. The Vice President also reminded that violence against citizens is an affront to democracy. She urged for the maintenance of respect, order, and peace in the country. In closing, Vice President Duterte called for calm among Davaoenos and the entire Filipino nation, urging everyone to unite in prayer for truth and justice. For God and my beloved Philippines, this has been Jade Calabroso, SMNA News.
It seems that the PNP failed to demonstrate what they call maximum tolerance as they simultaneously raided several properties and compounds of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ in Davao City. Carlo de la Peña reports.
Lagi natin sinasabi na maximum tolerance po talaga yung ating i-implement sa paggaganitong service of warrants of arrest. But again, nakikiusap po tayo doon sa mga supporters po ni Pastor Kibuloy na sana po payagan po na makapasok po doon sa area itong ating mga pulis dahil yun naman po ay implementation ng isang, sabi ko nga, isang valid warrants na inisyu po ng ating korte. Siguro mas maigi na hayaan na lang kung pumasok po yung ating mga kapulisan, pwede naman po nilang samahan yan, yung kanilang mga officer, just to make sure nga po na ma-check yung kaloob-loob po nung itong mga areas po na ito to confirm nga po yung veracity ng information na possibly nandoon po yung ibang mga ibang mga akusado po.
Contrary to the statements of the PNP, hundreds of police personnel and its elite force from Region 10, Region 11, and Region 12 first attempted to enter one of the gates of the KOJC compound using a ladder around 3 a.m. on Monday, June 10, 2024. At that time, the KOJC members had not yet received any formal papers or warrants from the authorities to allow the police operation inside the KOJC compound. The KOJC members did not allow them to enter without showing proof of their operation. And the arrogant actions of the PNP personnel didn't end there, as they also ransacked a gate made of metal sheets at Glory Mountain, another compound of the KOJC in Barangay Tamayong, Kalinan, Davao City. Aside from the damaged properties, some KOJC members were injured while the police were trying to enter the place. According to one of the caretakers of the place, even the children were traumatized by the events. This, they say, is a chapter in their lives that they will never forget.
Kani panghitabo karon, dili og dili gani na mo kalimtan. Kay nay mga bata nilang gisipa. Nami mga pictures documented na tanan. Naluoy ko kay ngay isa dito si Hector gibalibag. Nya tapos gi-inspection ako karon dito napay nakahandcuff. So murag nagsagit na mi nga asa naman ang human rights. Ang mga babae diri kapit bisig na jud kay gibungkal na nila ako. Naagyod ko kay naagyod ko giunsa nila pagbungkal. Naagyod ko tanan naka-document jud ni sa tanan.
The said action of the PNP was immediately questioned by the legal counsel of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, Attorney Israelito Torion, saying that the PNP should follow the rules before they execute what they want in places subject to or targeted by warrants.
Ilang beses na silang pumasok dito, pinayagan naman nating pumasok. At bilang ko nga, mga pang-3 pang-4 na ata ito na pasok nila dito, pinapasok naman natin sila. Oo. So, doon po, sa tingin ko, foul. At saka simultaneous service dito sa Central, dumiretso sila akyat-akyat, parang SWAT team sila. Sa mga pulis naman, mga sir, baka pwede, we will just stick to the rules. Yung rules naman natin insofar as service of search warrants and warrants of arrest are very clear. Dapat mag-stick lang tayo.
Attorney Torion believes that there will come a time when truth will prevail and those who are oppressed will also taste justice.
Di sa lahat ng panahon na sa pwesto kayo, dapat isipin natin na ipairal natin ang ating batas.
Meanwhile, the PNP admits that a warrant of arrest or search warrant can be served in a peaceful and orderly manner. PNP-PIO Chief Police Colonel Jane Fajardo emphasized that there should be proper coordination by the police in places targeted by warrants to avoid any injuries or tension. This is contrary to the arrogant and forced actions of the police while raiding some properties of the KOJC.
So kung meron po tayong information na nandoon po yung tao po na yon ay kailangan po talaga nating pasukin. Pero pwede naman pong daanin yon sa magandang usapan at magandang pakikipagnegosasyon para hindi nga po humantong sa anumang tensyon po.
In the latest information from the PNP, they failed to find what they were looking for in the 5 places that were the target of their operation. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this has been Carlo de la Peña, SMNI News.
The forced entry of armed police in the compounds of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ in Davao City not only violates human rights and the Philippine Constitution, but also violates the freedom of religion, according to international human rights lawyer. Angel Pastor has the details.
International lawyer attorney Arnedo Valera strongly opposes the forced entry of armed PNP, CIDG and SAF into the Kingdom of Jesus Christ compounds in Davao City and Sarangani Province on Monday, June 10th.
Pero ito, napakalinaw ito. Ang pinasok nila ay gusali ng pagsamba. Wala silang galang. Kahit na igalang man lamang nila yung mga institusyon na nakapaloob doon, alam nila na ito ay ginagamit para sa pagsamba at panalangin ng mga mamamayan natin dito.
The lawyer points out that this action is a clear violation of human rights and freedom of religion, as the physical characteristics of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ include prayer rooms and other facilities designated for religious activities of KOJC members.
Yan po ay lugar ng pagsamba. Kaya yung nakakalungkot na paggamit ng labis na pwersa ay nilabag yung tinatawag nating batayang prinsipyo ng tinatawag ko MJ na principle of proportionality. Yan yung prinsipyo ng proporsyonalidad na hindi ka pwedeng gumamit ng pwersa para ipatupad mo halimbawa yung pag-execute ng isang warrant of arrest at linlangin mo at gamitin mo yan bilang search warrant dahil hindi rin po pwedeng gawin yan. No? Ang lumalabas dito, nag-create ang isang batalyon para i-execute ang isang warrant of arrest sa isang individual. So parang pinakita nila na armadong pwersa ay naglikha sila ng tinatawag kong kapaligiran ng paninindak at takot, no? Na gumagambala talaga sa freedom of religion ng ating mga kapatid diyan sa KJOC.
According to Valera, not only human rights were clearly violated, but also the Philippine Constitution and the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, international law, and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which provides rights and security, especially in freedom of religion. Valera also mentions that at least the police could have respected the place because there was no indication of immediate threat or violent opposition from the KOJC community. Moreover, Valera notes that the KOJC was willing to face the armed PNP, CIDG and SAF. For God and my beloved Philippines, Angel Pastor, SMNI News.
Up next, the President of Brazil will attend the Group of 7 meeting in Europe with a focus on advancing Brazil's priority policies. The President aims to highlight the country's significant role on the global stage. And Iraqi militias renew calls for the United States withdrawal amid Gaza clashes. Anti-American sentiment grows over U.S. support for Israel, intensifying protests in Iraq. Stay tuned for more news. South Korea fired warning shots after North Korean troops accidentally crossed their shared border. The latest incident portrayed rising tensions between the two neighbors. Sheila Lee files this report.
South Korea and North Korea are embroiled in Cold War-style campaigns, which include trash balloons and propaganda broadcasts. The demilitarized zone, or the shared border between the two neighboring countries, was a scene of brewing tensions after South Korea recently fired warning shots toward North Korean troops. South Korea also resumed military activities at the border, such as training and propaganda broadcasts aired through blaring loudspeakers to make it unbearable for North Korean troops. In recent weeks, North Korea sent hundreds of balloons to the south in response to the anti-Pyongyang leaflets sent by activists at its border. The balloons contained heaps of rubbish and excrement. After a brief pause, North Korea resumed sending trash balloons after South Korea cancelled its 2018 military agreement last week. At least 330 balloons carrying 15 tons of rubbish were sent to South Korea this past weekend alone. Kim Yoo-jung, the influential sister of North Korean Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un, criticized the anti-Pyongyang leaflets as a psychological warfare and threatened to respond unless South Korea stopped the loudspeaker broadcasts. The warning shots were the latest in the tit-for-tat exchanges between the two warring neighbors. Reporting from South Korea, this is Sheila Lee, your global citizen correspondent for God and our beloved country, the Philippines.
The President of Brazil is set to attend this week's Group of 7 meeting in Europe to push for Brazil's priority policies and emphasize the South American nation's role in the global stage. David Lira will tell us more.
In the next few hours, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva will join world leaders at the G7 summit in Italy. His attendance at the event comes nearly a year after calling the bloc outdated. The G7 summit, an assembly of the world's major economies and a platform for crucial diplomatic engagements, will take place in Borgo Ignacio from the 13th to the 15th of June. It was formerly known as the G8 until Russia exited from the group in 2014. Lula will participate in the International Labour Organization's conference in Geneva, Switzerland, which ends on the 14th of June before traveling to Italy. Brazil, currently among the world's top global economies, will serve as a guest observer at the G7 summit. For this year's summit, Lula is expected to promote Brazil's policies such as social inclusion, fighting inequality, environmental sustainability, and reforms in global governance. He will also propose critical issues like implementing a 2% global tax on the super-rich, with the money used to address climate change and inequality. Created in 1975, the Brazilian leaders last year called the G7 an outdated format and questioned its existence. He added that the bloc should have disappeared after the creation of the G20 in 1999. Lula also pointed out that BRICS, which originally stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, is not meant to challenge the G7, G20, and the United States, but mainly to establish the so-called Global South. Brazil will hold the presidency of the G20 until November 2024. The final summit will take place in Rio de Janeiro on the 18th and 19th of November. It marked the first time Brazil presided over a bloc of the world's largest economies. I'm David Lira, your global citizen correspondent for SM9 News.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the Son. The more you imbibe the Word of God in your life, the more you acquire riches in heaven. And that's all for this edition. For more news update, you may visit sm9channel.com or follow us in our official social media accounts on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. For God and Country, the Philippines, I'm Frederico Velloso, and this is Newsline World.
Subscribe to SM9 News Channel and turn on the notification bell to keep you up to date. Also visit our official social media accounts and join our community on Viber and Telegram.